Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today on our Total Wellness Tuesday show here in the Cabral Concept. Can't wait to get into our intermittent fasting topic of the week, but not just about intermittent fasting. We want to look at the overall circadian rhythm of eating. We really want to go back to the basics and understand that no matter what diet plan you choose, it needs to be during normal human consumption time. Now, this might sound a little strange at the beginning. I've done an Ayurvedic-based podcast on the Ayurvedic times of the day. We'll try to link that up today. So if you want to go over to stephencabral.com/2139, that's where all the show notes are going to be. I'm also going to share with you a Harvard write-up on a study out of the University of Alabama. So Harvard did this nice little synopsis of a few different studies on obesity, type 2 diabetes, cholesterol, blood pressure, high blood pressure, and stroke. So a lot of the main causes of disease. And what they did was they cited different articles. So again, you know I always like to give credit where credit's due. So we'll give a little credit to the University of Alabama. I'll correct that when I look at the research, if that's not what it is. And then, of course, the Harvard Health website too. So again, give credit where credit's due. If you're a health practitioner, that's what it's all about. What we have to understand is we also need to give credit to the original form of medicine, which is Ayurvedic medicine. So Ayurvedic medicine told us 6,000 years ago in written history and written medical records, and keep in mind that Ayurveda is much older than 6,000 years old. It's just that's what we have the documented scripts from. But if we look at it, we understand that what we're doing today in terms of human nutrition is very foreign to what the human body is ready for in terms of metabolism and natural overall systemic-based digestion. So what I mean by that is that the human body was actually set up in natural rhythms throughout the day in order to be ready for what the body would have to tolerate living in nature. Now, of course, it's a little different, right? Living in your home or condo, apartment, whatever it might be, right? We have artificial light at night, which keeps us up later. Now we have blackout shades and drapes and all those things that can keep the light out in the morning and allow us to sleep a little later. But we have to understand is that there is one natural human circadian rhythm, and that we often overlook that. And I have a few podcasts on this as well, so I'll try to link those up at 2139 as well. But you have to understand there's a lot of research scientists that always try to prove that there are different circadian rhythms for humans, but it's simply not true. You can artificially create a different circadian rhythm with the use of blue light at night. So let me take a step back. If you have blackout curtains during the morning and no light comes in, then there will potentially be less cortisol secreted, which means the body's not going to wake up during its normal waking window, which we'll go over in just a moment. And at night, if you keep blue lights on, which are just most lights in your house, you can stay up later. You can still continue to produce cortisol, and you will produce then less melatonin, because melatonin is the sleep hormone. Now, it's a hormone for a lot of other things as well. It's a very powerful antioxidant in the way that it affects preventing cancer and many other things, but we'll get into that another day. I talked about it for antiviral and many, many other immune-based properties. But if you're still producing cortisol at night, there's an inverse ratio. I talked about this in the rain barrel effect, that you are not going to then be able to produce melatonin. So there we have it. So if you're not producing melatonin, you're probably not going to get very sleepy. So you can stay up later. Now, is this natural? No, it's not natural. Can it happen? Yes. And you can even lab test and show high cortisol levels at night. And you might say, look, see, I have high cortisol at night. That means I'm meant to stay up later. No, that's not what it means at all. It means that you have a dysfunctional diurnal rhythm where cortisol is being produced later at night, when we know that the natural human cortisol production is at its very lowest for the day between 9 and 10 p.m. Okay, so if we know that the natural cortisol production, and I'm going to get to intermittent fasting in one moment, so just hold on for 1 second. So if we know that our lowest cortisol production is between 9 and 10 at night, then from that same summation, we would be able to infer that melatonin then would begin to be increasing precipitously at 9 p.m. And the reason is that they're in an inverse ratio. If cortisol is low, melatonin is allowed to be high. Melatonin then is going to get us into a nice deep sleep. And we know that the prime hours for deep sleep are between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. And REM sleep can happen during that time, but also after that time. So if we know that deep sleep and most restorative sleep is between essentially 10 and 2 or 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., then it means that we should probably be in bed during that time. Now, if we have more blue lights, if we have more laptops and whatever, again, we can stay up. It's not that we can't stay up. A lot of people say, hey, I get my best work done at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight. Listen, I get it. Your body is trained to do that. It's quiet time for you. I understand. You could do that same work. It would take a little training as well, but you could do that same work at 6, 7 in the morning. But that's not today's show. Today's show is about intermittent fasting. So if we work backwards, we know our ideal bedtime is somewhere between 9 and 10 p.m. I'm not telling you to go to bed between 9 and 10 p.m. I'm saying it's the ideal time to get into bed. Maybe it doesn't work for you right now. I understand. But we can work backwards in terms of our eating. And we can say, okay, why would 9 to 10 p.m. be our optimal time for bedtime? It's because until fairly recently, last couple hundred years, right, for actual blue light electricity, and for real like blackout shades and all those things. Before that, what are you talking about? Like you're living outside or you're living in homes that certainly didn't resemble anything like they do today, right? You're definitely living in nature, but you have a little bit of a roof over your head. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. So if we look back in that time, when does the sun set? Well, in the wintertime, especially up north where I am in Boston, right? What time does the sun set? 4:30 in the winter, 4 p.m. in the winter. What times? And then obviously it fluctuates between then and like 8 p.m. during the summer, right? And even maybe a little bit later. So, okay, we've got the setting sun, let's say for the most part between 5 and 8. All right, 5 and 7, 5 and 8. Well, 9:30 p.m. would be a couple hours after the sunset. What is there for humans to do after the sun sets? Let's say you didn't have a house. This was thousands of years ago. Because remember, humans have been around millions of years. What would you do? You would take shelter. And here's why. You are not nocturnal. Other animals, big cats, they're nocturnal. If you're out at night, you could be prey to them. So trust me that humans would be taking shelter. Makes sense. Take shelter, go to bed a couple hours after it's dark at the latest, right? 8, 9, 10 p.m. And then what do? You're going to wake up with the rising sun. And remember, anybody who believes that they are a night owl, again, you might want to be a night owl. I get it. But if you set up a tent outside, you would become a non-night owl in about 2 to 3 weeks' time maximum. Because you'd be waking up around 6 a.m. with that sunrise every single day. Again, give and take an hour before, hour later, depending on the season, right? But you'd be waking up with the rising sun. There's just no doubt about it. You're not sleeping till 9, 10 a.m. with that sun beaming into your tent, right? There's just no doubt about it. And so what are you going to do? Well, after a couple of days, you're going to be pretty tired and you're going to be going to bed a whole lot earlier and you will have reset your circadian rhythm. All right. So hopefully you begin to understand is that the humans have a natural circadian rhythm. And so they'd be eating food when? During light hours, right? It only makes sense that you would eat during light hours. Even if you were able to build fire, you would eat during the light hours. What are the light hours? 7 a.m. to what? Maybe 5 p.m., right? Maybe a little bit later during the summer, no doubt about it. So what we have is over millions of years, our circadian rhythm that has been built that allows us to digest our food properly if eaten within a specific window, okay? I don't necessarily want to tell you the window to eat in. I want to represent it with a little bit of research. If you've listened to my previous intermittent fasting shows before, you know I recommend most people do a 12, 14, or 16-hour daily intermittent fast. But if you've also listened to my intermittent fast before, I've made cases for why, if you're going to skip one meal, it should be dinner. It is the healthiest meal, bar none, to skip. Now, I don't skip dinner. You probably don't want to skip dinner either. Why? Well, it's our social meal. It's when we sit down with our family, our partner, our spouse, friends. So I get it. Trust me, I understand it. So I'm not skipping dinner either. But the earlier you can move that up, the healthier it is for you. And I want to share some of that research right now. So in this Harvard-based synopsis, it shows, and this has been represented so many times in studies, but it shows that regardless of essentially the diet that was followed, this was very interesting. It talks about our overall metabolism. It says, this is direct quote, "We've evolved to be in sync with the day and night cycle, circadian rhythm. Our metabolism has adapted to daytime food and nighttime sleep. Nighttime eating is well associated with a higher risk of obesity, as well as diabetes, and as you'll see a little bit later, inflammatory-based diseases, such as higher cholesterol and blood pressure, as well as poor insulin sensitivity that, of course, goes along with diabetes." So based on all of the knowledge that we've already had before, that eating late at night is bad for our health, okay? Even healthy food late at night. Why? Again, all you have to do is track. So I've got my new, this will be coming out could be this Friday. So check out this Friday's show, the Oura Ring Generation 3. You don't have to use Oura Ring. I don't represent them. I don't make any, commissions for recommending Oura Ring. Here's the thing though. If you track your sleep, you will see that the closer you read to bedtime, or again, you have to do this over course days, you will typically have poor deep sleep, poor REM sleep, higher resting heart rate, lower heart rate variability. All signs of stress in the body. Try stopping eating at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock one night. Do that for a week. Guaranteeing you from what you were doing before, deep sleep goes up, REM goes up, heart rate variability goes up, and resting heart rate goes down. Try it out. Again, you don't have to believe me, but trust me, eating later at night affects overall blood sugar, affects overall fat absorption and inflammation as well. Okay, so based on this, University of Alabama conducted a study. Again, I'll link this up, 2139, stephencabral.com/2139. Head on over there for all of these links and studies. So I just clicked out of it. There we go. So they published an in-depth review, intermittent fasting, and it was published in the Journal of New England Journal of Medicine. It sheds some light on intermittent fasting. So what we've looked at is within our physiology triggering several essential cellular functions. Flipping the switch from a fed to a fasting state does more to help us than just burn calories and lose weight. The researchers combed through dozens of animal and human studies to explain how simple fasting improves metabolism, lowers blood sugar levels, lessens inflammation, which improves a range of health issues from arthritic pain to asthma, which are both inflammatory conditions, by the way, and even helps clear out toxins and damaged cells. There's that word toxins again that nobody believes in, which lowers risk for cancer and enhances brain function, meaning like helps stave off inflammation in the brain, which may lead to dementia and Parkinson's disease. Okay. So now let me get to the actual study itself, which goes over the actual window. Okay, so they split people in two different camps, and they allowed people to eat all of their meals. So you could eat 3 meals, but you had to do it between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. The others were allowed a normal window from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Now, if you're like me, you're already saying, well, what if they did from 12 to 8? I get it, but we're going back to the previous research that eating later at night still causes poor sleep and more inflammation in the body. I'll follow up with a different show on that as well and do it head-to-head. But again, let's go back to Ayurvedic times of the day, natural human nutrition, cortisol levels going down, the body going into more of a resting-based state after the sun begins to set. You don't want to ramp it back up with digestion. All right. But again, you can believe that or not. I tried to make my case for that. And again, I have a lot of clinical-based research on my own from working with hundreds of thousands of people that also backs that up. But again, let's just go by this. So 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So, and 7 to 7. When we looked at the two groups, the weight loss was about the same. So they basically maintain weight loss or slight dip for the study. That wasn't the goal. But after 5 weeks, the group that ate between 7 a.m. and 3. So they basically had breakfast at early in the morning, 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m., something around 10, 11, and then 3 p.m. That group, after 5 weeks of that window, had dramatically lower insulin levels and significantly improved insulin sensitivity, as well as lower blood pressure. And they did not have increased hunger, even though they stopped eating around 3 p.m. So I wanted to share this with you because I can give you so much anecdotal evidence from people, at least for a period of time, that have stopped eating in our practice around 4 p.m., 5 p.m. at the latest. And they didn't do anything else different. That's it. All they did was take their dinner and move it down 2 hours. Now, if you have the ability to do that, because you're not constrained by relationships or whatever it might be, even if you could do it 5 out of 7 nights, it would be tremendous. I'm telling you right now, it's a simple experiment. You don't even have to reduce calories. You don't have to reduce meals. You're just going to move them earlier in the day. And what I've seen has been absolutely remarkable in terms of reducing inflammation and overall health. 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed, if you can stop eating, it will dramatically improve your health. So when you look at these people, the 7 to 3 is an 8-hour window. So they're doing a 16-8 fast. But what do we know as 16-8 fast? Well, most people fast until lunch, right? And that's their 16-8. I'm telling you right now, the best research, unbiased, like if you're unbiased, I have nothing to sell you. I have no intermittent fasting plan to sell you. All of my intermittent fasting podcasts are completely free. I'm telling you right now, for your own health, if you were to skip dinner instead of breakfast, you would be a healthier human being. Okay, you really would. And so what I want you to do is just think about it, that if you are having your largest meal at night and it's very close to bedtime, you just want to put some thought into it. I'm not saying you might even be able to change it overnight. Just think about it. This podcast is just about keeping your mind open. I'm not trying to force any ideas upon you. I simply want to share with you 25 years of experience, over 250,000 clients that we've worked with, all the research that I read every single day, the books and the journals that I write in every single day of all of this research. I just want to share that with you. And I'm telling you right now, if you can begin to stop eating around that 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock hour, you're going to be so much healthier. So hopefully this has been helpful. Use it for what you believe will help you. And of course, if there's any questions, always feel free to leave a comment. I'd be happy to help. So thanks so much. Feel free to share the show with anyone you believe it could serve. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show and a big announcement we have for you. That is January 10th. January 10th is our next community detox. That means people all over the world, thousands of people all over the world. Our goal is 10,000 this January 10th, completing the EcoLife Detox. That is a functional medicine detox that is going to help you with your overall wellness, get you deeper into autophagy, right? Such an important thing that many of us are hearing about and needing to take advantage of. It's going to help with overall healthy levels of blood sugar, healthy levels of inflammation, healthy levels of balancing hormones, and so much more. So whether you're looking to transform your overall health, your body transformation, weight loss, anti-aging is going to help you with that. If you only do one thing, I'm telling you right now, if you only do one thing to kickstart your 2022, it is the 7, 14, or 21-day detox. Choose the 21-day detox if you're dealing with wellness issues, weight gain issues, or aging-based issues, and if you've never done a functional medicine detox before, which is not a cleanse, it's not teas, it's not juices, it's not any of those things. I don't have a problem with those things, but they are not functional medicine detoxes, which is completely different. And if you've already been doing your functional medicine detoxes, well, then join us for a 7-day detox this January 10th. We will be posting every single day inside of our community support group at cabralsupportgroup.com. Completely free. We'll be cheering you along, providing support, answering your questions. Thousands of people complete this, and we hope you do too. But right now, you can actually get a 7-day detox completely free. It is buy 3, get 1 free. That saves you $99. That means you could join with 3 other friends, 4 other friends, and each save $25, or buy 3, get 1 free, and use them each quarter for 2022. Because if you're following the naturopathic and the Ayurvedic way of detoxing with each season for overall robust health and wellness and body transformation and aging, this is the way to do it. So you can stock up on your entire year's worth and actually get 1 free. So now you have one for January, the beginning of April, beginning of July, and mid-September. save $99. Head on over to stevencabral.com/shop. That will take you over to the Equalife site, or go directly to the detox page. Head on over to stevencabral.com/detox to save $99 while supplies last.